Good enough is not good enough for me. That's what the perfectionist tells himself or herself. And that's their primary mode of self-sabotage. So let's challenge and hopefully destroy that self-sabotage. If you're a person who considers himself or herself a perfectionist, and you have ideas for different projects, creative projects, intellectual projects, business projects, this one is for you. Okay, first, let's actually expand on the statement, good enough is not good enough for me. Let's explain what is actually going on inside. This is how it really looks like. Good enough is not good enough for me, or at least that's what I tell myself in order to have a justification to escape the often mundane and boring struggle towards my goals. This is it. This is it. If this rubs you the wrong way, good. It's pointing to the truth. If it's challenging to hear this and to accept it, good. It points to the truth. All of us have to some extent this tendency towards finding justifications and rationalizations to escape the mundane and often boring struggle towards our goals. And you know who is especially struggling with this? Highly creative and highly ambitious people. You know why? Because your goals are so lofty. Your goals are so ambitious. So you are assuming, whether consciously or unconsciously, that the journey towards your goals is supposed to be exciting all the times, extravagant, that is supposed to look cool. Some of you are accepting that there are going to be struggles along the way, but you want even struggles to be only the immense struggles that make for a great story. You don't want the mundane, boring struggle of daily repetition. Again, if this is challenging to hear, if this rubs you the wrong way, great. It's pointing to the truth. So let's continue. Some of you are familiar with the term puer aeternus from Jungian psychology. It's becoming more and more popular these days, and you know why? Because more and more people are realizing that they are living through that pattern to some extent. We will not now deal with diagnosis. You are a puer aeternus and you are... No. Most people, again, highly creative and highly ambitious people, interact with that personality pattern to some extent. And what's the essence of the puer aeternus? To now not go on a full-on theoretical rant that will not sound relevant or practical enough. What is the essence? The essence is, I want only the magical side of life. I want only the exciting side of life. I want only the great. I want only what is worthy of mythology books. I don't want the daily struggle. They are forgetting that the first task that Hercules did was clean the shit from the stalls. Is stalls the proper expression? I'm not sure. Stables. Cleaning a ton of shit, excuse my language, from stables. They forget that they want to fight the Hydra. They don't want to clean the shit. That is your problem as a highly creative and highly ambitious person. You only want the Hydra, and you only want the dragons, and you only want the pot of gold, but I don't want to clean the shit. It's not cool enough. It's not extravagant enough. Okay, now let's bring it back to reality. Let's actually bring it not only back to reality, but to our specific age. You have ideas, you have projects. That entails that you want to share that with people, right? Yeah, okay. If you want to share something with people in the modern age, you have to share it online. You don't have to necessarily. Now, someone will maybe make an argument, okay, I can do it in my local community, beautiful, and I support doing work in your local community, but the vast majority of people wants, to some extent, to promote their work online in order to have the possibility to reach as many people as possible. Okay. Meaning, if you have ideas that you want to share, projects that you want to work on and share with people, if you want to make some impact, you probably have to play the online game. You have to participate in the online game, in the digital world. Okay, now, this is a perfect playground and test ground or testing ground for this pattern. Good enough is not good enough for me. Because this is where it's so easy to see that resistance showing up. Oh, I'm going to wait. My writing is not ready yet. My videos are not ready yet. My drawings are not ready yet. I'm going to put out only the highest quality stuff. You know, I don't put out that low quality stuff. I only put out my stuff when it's the highest quality. Ooh, sorry, Dostoevsky. Sorry, Rilke. Sorry, Picasso. I didn't recognize you. That's what I think when I hear those statements. I don't think I'm judgmental. I've been there. I've been that person. So this absolutely is tough love. And once again, if it's challenging, good, it's supposed to be challenging. But that's what I think when I hear, and I hear that multiple times per day, because I speak to people all the time, and I receive comments and messages from people who have creative aspirations. When I say creative, it's not necessarily arts. For me, starting a business is also a creative project. So any type of creative, business, intellectual project. You know, I don't put out low quality stuff. I'm waiting to create the highest quality stuff, then I'm going to put it out. That is signing a contract with yourself to fail. To fail in what? To fail in doing justice to your idea, to fail in giving yourself a chance to reach all of the people that could have been impacted by you. Because you know how I look at it? There are people out there who would benefit immensely from your ideas, who would resonate with your story, who would appreciate and enjoy your work. And you are denying those people that opportunity because you only put out the highest quality stuff. Now let's make an argument for you. Let's steelman your argument, as they would say. You can look at the artists and writers and creators of the past and you say, imagine, or you can say, I cannot imagine Leonard Cohen or Kurt Cobain or Rilke or Orwell. I cannot imagine them posting every single day on social media. Like those are people who, went, isolated themselves, worked on their craft, worked on their poems, books, songs, and then once in a while they would come out and publish. Okay, that is a fair argument. What age are you living in? What year are you living in? Again, sorry if it sounds harsh, but not really sorry. You need to hear the harsh truth. You are not Leonard Cohen, you're not Kurt Cobain, you're not Rilke, you're not Dostoevsky or Picasso, and not because you don't have their capacity. No, you're not them because you're not living in that age. I'm confident that they would be sharing their work consistently online if they were alive today. Maybe you could say, oh, Kurt Cobain was so against the system and, he was that dark rebellious type, he wouldn't. Okay, then he wouldn't be Kurt Cobain in today's day and age. Unfortunately, this is, or not unfortunately, for better or worse, the age that we are living in rewards volume and speed. Now, there are many different ways to approach volume and speed. No one is saying that you need to completely sacrifice your quality. You can fully pursue highest quality, but still play the game of volume and speed by practicing in public. By saying, okay, this is a practice piece of writing, this is a practice drawing, and I'm sharing it with people. Now imagine how beautiful it would be if you had a chance to witness the practicing of the skill, development of the skill of your favorite artist, author, writer. Imagine how impactful, beautiful, powerful that would be. Well, you get a chance to do that. If you're really pursuing the highest quality work, share your practice. Maybe A year from now, I will say all of these daily videos were practice videos. And here I am right now giving a 2.5 hour lecture for thousands of people. Maybe that happens. And I say, oh, those daily videos, they didn't have the best production, where I sometimes or often stumbled over my words, where sometimes I would go on side notes that were maybe too long, and that would negatively influence the flow of my video. All of those were practice videos. Okay? What are you doing? What are you doing by saying good enough is not good enough for me? You are going to save all of that practice for yourself, which probably means there isn't much practice going on because there is almost zero accountability. And then one day, the world will be blessed with the highest quality of your work. Come on, let's get serious here. Once again, this is coming. This tough love, I acknowledge it's tough love. I acknowledge my tone and the things that I'm saying and the way that I'm phrasing them. I acknowledge it can sound judgmental or at least lacking some of the kindness and compassion that I hopefully display in most of my videos. I fully acknowledge it. But this is what Puer Eternus needs. This is what the perfectionist needs. I'm not saying there is a cookie cutter template for all people. Absolutely not. I have different clients with which I talk about these things, and everyone has their own unique patterns and everyone needs to be approached in a slightly different way. But if I'm trying to at least challenge, because this is absolutely about challenging, if I'm trying to challenge and trigger something in you, even though trigger is now a negative word, but I'm trying to trigger something in you for sure. If I'm trying to do that for most people, for the largest amount of people listening to this, then I have to talk in this way. We have to get serious about what you're doing to yourself and to your ideas and to your potential and to your capacity and to your energy. We need to get serious about it. What you're doing is you're deceiving yourself. You're playing a losing game with yourself. So to go back to the analogy of the writers, authors, artists of the past, try to imagine what they were doing behind the closed doors, what they were doing behind the curtain. Daily, mundane repetition. It's well known that Picasso, he made thousands of art pieces, right? That's correct. Van Gogh as well. I believe that both of them are in thousands, or in hundreds and hundreds approaching thousands. Handful of their pieces became those legendary pieces of art. Do you think that hundreds and thousands of art pieces were all created in moments of ecstasy? Or do you think that every moment and every part of creating every art piece was infused with ecstasy? Can you imagine them doing the reps without ecstasy? Can you imagine them doing the reps on a day where they feel sluggish, but still doing it? Now, let's translate to the digital age. The same applies. It's just the fact that if we want to add the context of the digital age, and if you want to increase your chance of reaching as many people as possible, that daily repetition, that daily mundane repetition, or at least some products of the daily mundane repetition should be shared with the world. Not waiting for the masterpiece that you're working on to be finished. Carl Jung said that the real hero is on the ground, facing real challenges of life, not with head in the clouds. If we translate that to your creative, intellectual business projects, Once again, you cannot always be dealing with the extravagant, legendary part of your journey. You have to go back to the ground. You have to clean the shit from the stables. You have to put in the reps. You have to do the mundane and the boring work. You have to appreciate the work that is not a masterpiece. You have to appreciate your ability to put in the daily boring effort, and for that daily boring effort to be worth something. Now, if you ask me, okay, David, what are the 5 steps for me to change this pattern? I would argue that would be a mistake to think, okay, what is 1 hack or 3 hacks or 5 steps? Okay, how can I make this as mechanical as possible? Is what we are talking about purely mechanical, or is it deeply complex? In some way, it's extremely simple, but deeply complex in the sense of the inner dynamic. What I would say the number one thing for this is dialogue. Internal constructive dialogue or constructive self-reflection through journaling, through not always writing down, going on walks and having constructive conversations with yourself, or sitting down and having constructive conversations with yourself, or having a conversation with someone who understands this, with someone who relates, with someone who's been through that. Dialogue. Dialogue is where it all starts, because dialogue promotes self-awareness. Self-awareness promotes and leads to understanding internal patterns, normalizing internal patterns so that shame is removed, and then proceeding towards a place where those patterns, even though they will still show up, hold way less power over us. That's the trajectory. Not, okay, here is this one trick that I will do and this pattern will disappear and now I will change my behavior overnight. It doesn't go like that. But the actual path, the path of dialogue and awareness, is immensely more rewarding, because this is how you actually make internal shifts that last. Once again, coming from someone who was there, coming from someone who spent months deciding on the domain name for his website, someone who spent months resisting the strong urge to share his creative work, but is now, when it comes to, for example, videos, what is this? This is video number 80, I believe. I believe this is 80 videos in a row. My writing 6 years in a row. And again, I don't want this to sound like I'm bragging. Look at me, I'm writing 6 years every day, and published over 400 long form pieces on Substack and over 2,000 short form pieces on Instagram. Now I'm, implementing that consistency on YouTube. I'm not better than you, and I'm not special. Once again, I understand these things because I've been there and I had to work through them. So I'm telling you, this is something that you can work through. This is something that you can change. But it involves being honest with yourself. It involves facing some uncomfortable truths. It involves cleaning the shit from the stables. It involves embracing, slowly but surely, the mundane and boring nature of a lot of our movement towards our goals. So that's it, friends. Dialogue, constructive self-reflection, or dialogue with people who understand. Side note, because I'm someone who understands, someone who actually works with people who have creative, intellectual business projects and are feeling stuck in them, you'll find a link below to book a free discovery call with me. If you are serious about actually working through these patterns, because you have a concrete project that you cannot keep putting off and playing this deceiving game with yourself. So I invite you to explore maybe having those dialogues with me. If not, here I am still with the videos, and I will keep talking about stuff like this, and I will keep writing on these matters. So you can also subscribe to my free newsletter on Substack. Also, it will be in one of the links in the description. And yeah, as always, stay strong. Always love life. Never feel sorry for yourself. Never fall into the trap of grandiosity where good enough is not good enough for you. Light that fire in your heart that will encourage you to do the mundane work and to share the work that is good enough, and always go beyond. Thank you.